بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
These ahadith really contain so many gems. If we were to implement them in today's world, we find that they have touched upon each and every aspect of life. For example, we have a hadith narrated from Imam Ali alayhi salam. One day he was sitting down next to the river of Furat. This may have been during the time of Siffin, because Siffin took place next to the river of Furat, but in Sham. Or it could be another time. The Imam maybe have been passing by, because the Imam also passed by Karbala. Anyways, he was sitting next to the river of Furat. He had a metal in his hand, and he took some of the water and just put the rod onto the water. Just wiped it over the water. And he said, "Law shi'tu, if I want, I would have made light and fire from this water. I would have made light and fire from this water." My dear brother who comes from Vancouver, what is the source of energy in Vancouver? The major source of energy? Water, hydropower, right? Hydropower. At the time, people didn't understand what the Imam alayhi salam was saying, but he introduced the essence of it. Now, the Imam did not introduce all the details. He did not come out and say, about the electron and so on, so forth. How do solar cells, for example, work? How can he generate electricity from the sun, for example? The essence is there. He did not go into the nitty-gritty details, but the essence is there. لَوْ شِئْتُ, if I want, I would turn this water into light and fire. There is a whole field. I remember when I was doing my postdoctoral fellowship, one of the PhD candidates was working on something called hydrogen splitting. Hydrogen getting split and generating energy from hydrogen splitting. H2O, so split the hydrogen, that generates energy from the O, from the oxygen. So take water, split the energy, split the hydrogen from the oxygen. It's called hydrogen splitting. Imam Salamullah Ali introduced the essence. He did not get into the details, but he introduced the essence of that knowledge. In another hadith, in a different hadith, أمير المؤمنين صلوات الله وسلامه عليه صلوا على محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل. He says, وفي التجارب علم مستأنف, and in the experiment is the knowledge that is found. Knowledge is found through experiments. Now, the Imam, Salamullah alayhim, sometimes when they say a hadith, it may have multiple meanings. Not only would the hadith have multiple meanings, sometimes, in fact, when they interpret the hadith, they interpret it in multiple ways, depending who they're talking to. For example, one day Al-Ma'mun Al-Abbasi, Ma'mun, the one who killed Imam Rida alayhi salam, he was having a conversation with Imam Rida, Salamullahi alayhi. He asked him, he said, "Ya Ali ibn Musa, can you explain this hadith to me? There is a hadith, they say the Prophet narrates this hadith. Ya Ali, anta qasimun nari wal jannah. Yani you are the distinguisher between hell and fire." How could Ali be the one who distinguishes? Now that hadith, just doesn't make sense to me. Imam Rida looked at him and he told him, "Well, don't you narrate a hadith, you yourself, you narrate a hadith from your grandparents, from Abdullah ibn Abbas, your great-grandfather. The Ma'mun is the son of Abdullah ibn Abbas. That's how they were Abbasis. Don't you narrate a hadith from your great-grandfather, Abdullah ibn Abbas, who says that he heard the Prophet saying, 'Ya Ali, nobody loves you but a mu'min, and nobody hates you but a hypocrite.' Don't you narrate this hadith?" He says, "Yes, I do." He says, "Where will the mu'mineen be? Where are they going to go on the day of judgment?" He says, "Jannah." He says, "Okay, good. How about the hypocrites?" He said, "Jahannam." He said, "There you go." Ali is the one who distinguishes between hell and paradise. They leave. One of the companions of the Imam by the name of Abu Salt al-Hirawi, was with him at the time. He listens to this conversation, comes out. And he tells the Imam, Jazakallah khair ya ibn Rasulillah, great, what a beautiful way you describe this hadith to Al-Ma'mun al-Abbasi. He says, I described it in a way that he understands. Otherwise, the hadith that we have heard from our father, our parents, is that on the day of judgment, Ali will talk to the hellfire and say, take him, he's one of my enemies. And will speak to Jannah and say, take him, he's one of my followers and one of my Shia. So it's not only is he qasimun nari wal Jannah by being... So the hadith, the same hadith, depending who do they talk to, they would interpret it differently or in a different manner, in a different way. And therefore, if we take a look at the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam with that kind of an understanding, with that kind of a perspective, that if we take a look at this hadith, like this one of the Imam, where he says, experiment is what develops the knowledge, unfolds the knowledge. Those of you who are familiar with research, one of the famous individuals who revolutionized scientific method is a man by the name of Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon is considered to be the father of the scientific method. Why? What did he do? What did he say? All that he did, all that he said was, in order for you to arrive at a conclusion, you have to do experiments first. You do your research, you do your experiment, and based on the results, you can base your conclusion. In other words, this is what universities today do. Anybody who gets into university today, to graduate school, this is exactly what you're doing. You have to do a whole research. Based on that, you develop your conclusions, and that's what you write your thesis on. Hence, he's considered to be the father. He's the one who really revolutionized the whole thing. This is from about 400 years ago, approximately. Why? Because he thought, or he said, that experiments are what develops knowledge. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam said this for 1400 years ago, but in a different language. If you really analyze the language, it's the same language. The essence is the same essence. You want to develop knowledge through experiments. So the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam encompass every aspect of life if we really sit down and analyze them.